All right. Did Seattle radicalize another jihadist? I'm picking up on a pattern, and maybe you picked up on it as well, that Seattle, which is a fallen city within a fallen country, a country that used to be Washington State, now it's just the separate country of Washington, has a nasty habit of being involved in the radicalization of people who go on to do awful things. The guy who went and shot 2 of our service members in Washington, D.C., one of whom has passed, spent some time in Gig Harbor. In fact, he got to live in a multi-million-dollar home. He got to do this as a refugee.
Bellingham, the city where D.C. sniper John Allen Muhammad once lived, is in the news because another resident is accused of going to Washington, D.C. and shooting people. And this time, the circumstances are also complex.
I know we've definitely done a lot.
Whatcom County has opened its arms to Afghan refugees who fled during Operation Allies Welcome. World Relief of Whatcom County says they are proud to have welcomed nearly 400 Afghan refugees, and multiple churches have also helped with food and housing. In fact, the Washington Department of Social and Health Services says thousands of Afghan refugees sought humanitarian relief in 2022 and hundreds more in the last couple of years. A board member for the group Afghan Advantage, an organization that has worked to empower and educate local refugees, called the shooting allegations heinous, leaving the community heartbroken.
Is it the allegations that are heinous or the shooting that's heinous? That's up in the air because it's the Seattle area. Now, having come from there, having lived there most of my adult life, still having radio affiliates there, having done morning and afternoon radio there for decades, I know something about the Seattle area, and I know this. There are people who make huge money pretending to be philanthropic. And they make huge money by hooking into these homeless industrial complexes. And in fact, there's a refugee industrial complex that allows people to write off properties and make huge money. And then there's a radicalization. Did you hear the part in that news piece about someone who had lived in Washington State and gone on to commit an act of terror, a guy named Lee Boyd Malvo? Yeah, he lived there. So did his partner. John Allen Muhammad had ties to the area. So did another guy I'll tell you about here in a second. First of all, let me show you this picture of a home. This is a home in which the guy who went and shot up the National Guardsman, he was allowed to live there for a bit. Right, the one on the right. Just so we're keeping track, that's probably a $5 or $6 million home he was allowed to live in. And people close to him say that he sort of changed. He stopped going to support groups, stopped meeting with his contacts, refused to learn English. Why would he learn English in a city in an area that tells people America is evil? Who no doubt told him what he did to help our troops was evil. Because in the separate country of Washington State, the United States is seen as evil. I'll tell you more about this in a second because there's a couple other tie-ins that really, really matter to this. It's easy to see evil all around you. It's also easy sometimes to think that you can't find anyone who's doing things the right way. I know of a company called Renew.Healthcare. They're run by really smart people. They've got money. They could set up in the United States and do what they do, except it's illegal. In the United States, if you're using stem cell treatment, say to make sure that you don't have to have a knee replacement, you don't have to have back surgery, or say, for instance, for erectile dysfunction, or to even get your hands, the use of your hands back, you have to use frozen stem cells taken from whomever with whatever health issues, and maybe they got injected with the COVID stuff, or maybe they didn't. That's not the way it works at Renew.Healthcare. They use stem cells taken from the umbilical cords of women they know because they pay for their pregnancies. They monitor the health of the child. They monitor the health of the woman during and after pregnancy, and they walk the umbilical cords maybe 5 minutes into a world-class lab. That's how they can reject 90% of stem cells and still have the highest quality possible because they culture the good stem cells. They've helped double the lifespan of a person with ALS. They've returned movement to a woman who was hemispherically paralyzed. They're working on publishing a paper to show that they can cure diabetes. And they're helping friends of mine avoid surgery. It's now 3 friends who didn't have to have surgery because of this. Go to Renew, RENUE.healthcare. Tell them you're part of the Todd Herman Show family. Renew, RENUE.healthcare. I don't like to use the names of people who go out and do heinous acts because sometimes that's what they want. But remember the guy who went down to Texas and shot up a bunch of ICE officers and ended up shooting detainees? His family said he was fine until he moved to the Seattle area. It was completely normal before then. Then he came back believing he had radiation sickness. He began to wear cotton gloves to avoid contact with plastics, and he went and shot up Customs and Border Patrol officers and shot detainees. He went crazy, it seems, while he was in Seattle. Then you have the case of the Beltway snipers. Lee Boyd Malvo lived in Washington State, specifically in Bellingham and Tacoma, Whatcom County, and Pierce County. The other sniper, John Allen Muhammad, also had connections to this area. If you understand Seattle at all, you understand it was the launching ground of Antifa in the United States. That's where they trained to build IEDs. It's where they trained to take down police horses. It's where, before they did it in Portland, they attempted to set police officers on fire, locked them in a construction trailer, and attempted to take their lives by burning them out. It's where they seized a police station. It's where they got to keep it for a number of weeks, and they got paid off with $1 billion. Do I think these people were radicalized in the Seattle area? Absolutely, because it would hold to the pattern.